We are here live and in color. And I don't know about you guys, but this theme song right here, I thought the last theme song, but this theme song got you feeling like, oh my God, right.
It just get better and better.
It gets
Yes,
better
yes,
and better.
it
And the
does.
beautiful thing about it is, right before we got on here, we were cutting up and having a good time. So I'm telling y'all, it is nothing like the vibe. And
It's nothing.
it's just a good thing.
Don't
And
you
so
just love being around good people? Like it
it's a
when you
great
have been
energy.
around with some mess, when you finally around some goodness, you it just make you just relax. Like you can let
Yo,
your
Right.
it's a
shoulders
whole
down
different
and
feeling. A whole different feeling. And I love it. And we're so appreciative because as you guys get to see, we have the beautiful Natasha Khan back today. So she was here
the
on
glow
Friday.
of the what was it,
That's it.
Angela?
The
The
Glowtastic day.
task.
The Glowtastic, yes. Then shout out to my friend Hazel because that is her word. And so, but I thought it was very fitting for Natasha today. So, Natasha, welcome back. We're glad to have you this morning. Shout out to Miss Phyllis for being here. We're super glad to see you, as well as Miss Patricia. Thank you all for tuning in, for all of our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram people. We appreciate you being here because without y'all, girl, we would still be talking to each other. It would still be okay,
We
but
would now.
y'all just make it better. Yeah. You make
We
it
would
better.
still be
Good
talking,
morning,
but
Tina.
we have Natasha up again early in the morning.
We do. Thank God for the yes. Miss Phyllis said, welcome back. Because y'all know we be up early with the birds, like, girl, hey, look, we
Yes.
chirping and everything, like, girl, we right here with y'all. And Natasha said, babe, that's not,
It's
that's not me. But I love y'all, though. I'm
But I'll catch y'all later. Y'all have a good one.
exactly. I'm going to catch the replay.
well, I usually wake up this time so I can catch Rev Pat.
But
So
that's what I was thinking. You will wake
Well,
up
now with
around this
clothes
time because
on and makeup on, you usually just get up, right?
I did, yeah.
behind the
It's
scenes, exactly. Exactly.
It's a
That's the
difference.
beautiful thing.
It's a difference of just being up
correct.
and
For
up.
sure.
Like that's two different ones. Like
It is. We say,
I love laying in the
baby's home.
bed. I think that's so just laying
Mhm.
in the bed, just relaxing.
It's how I get my
I
rest.
don't have to be doing nothing. I don't have to have my
Yep.
phone in my hand. I like to just lay there and just enjoy the moment.
And you
Yes,
know what?
ma'am.
I went to a good friend of mine. We're sister-in-laws, actually, but a good, super, super good friend of mine for years. And so she had a birthday party recently, and we all got together. And so a lady that she knows, I forgot how old she said she was, maybe 62 or something. Maybe, I forgot what her age was, 68, I think it was. But at any rate, girl, skin was popping and glowing. She said, I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, rest. Rest takes care of that. And I
It
don't think
does.
we understand. Like a lot of times you feel like I don't have time to sleep. It's not always sleeping, but
It's
understanding what
resting.
resting can
It's
do
two
for you.
difference.
It's
Mhm.
two different things. And I think that this year we need to embrace rest and restoration because
Hmm.
God is restoring some things to you, but He wants you to be at peace and in rest so that you can learn how to calm your nervous system down know how to, bring them emotions back so that you're not all over the place, and recognize who you are, because we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And that's the beauty of what God did when he created us. He created us to be fearfully and wonderfully made. And when you
Yes.
understand that, when you understand who you are and whose you are, when you
It's
get
a
that
total
down, what I say, rub pat
That's
in your shot now, when you get that deep down inside to where can't nobody tell you anything different, you can
nobody.
say, you know what, you can say you an ugly monkey, and I can say, you know what, and
What
so I'm
and
and
so.
fearfully and wonderfully made, and not get upset and not get mad and not want to do evil things to you because of that, not evil things to myself, because sometimes some things are self-inflicted
it
because
is
we allow people to talk to us in
self-sabotage.
such a way that we start believing it.
Yep.
Dr.
And
Sparkle, you need to
one
be
of the,
ringing that bell.
yes, hear me
I
out, folks,
agree.
because people will tell you things out of their hurt, out of their
Yes.
spitefulness,
Their fear.
out of their mistreatment, and feel like what they say, don't let somebody bleed on you when you didn't cut them.
Nope.
Sometimes
Mm.
you should be
Ooh.
able to say that, you know what, I understand that maybe this is not a good time for you. So I'm going to let you get yourself together, but I'm going to remove myself from the situation, because I don't have to stay here and you tell me that I'm never going to be anything. Nobody's ever going to want me. You're not smart enough for that. I don't have to stay here and entertain those types of conversations. We're in a brand new year. And when you talk about vision boards and resolutions, talk about getting yourself together to where you believe in the positive, amazing, fabulous,
Yes.
wonderful human
When,
being that you are. And if you say you believe in God, then God is inside of you. You can't think that you're less than when you got the most amazing gift inside of you. You cannot.
Amen.
And if
you
you have
cannot.
Amen.
been, and if you are, then know that what they say, what's that phrase they used to say, the buck stops here, baby. No
It
longer am
does.
I feeding into the foolishness. I'm not. And whatever you need to do to stop it, stop it. Walk
Stop it.
away, go out into a whole different environment. Get you some people who are going to tell you, girl, now you know better. You know better.
Yes.
You know better.
That gets some people that's gonna tell you that you can receive it, is because you got to be able to receive it too. When
Mm-hmm.
somebody tells you that, you know, they're doing it out of love. Like, so when Angela corrects me, I'm just a little ticked off. I'm gonna be quiet, and I'm gonna go on and be, and have my little attention
Get
tap,
all over
but
my face.
then I'm gonna come on back. But I'm saying you have to be able to receive what somebody's seeing, because somebody sees something that you can't see. You might can't see it right now because you can't see yourself in a different place, but somebody else might can see you in that different place, and they gonna help push you to it.
Talk you off the ledge of destruction, desperation, depression, all of the things. And so let me slide on back, because y'all know Saturday. Yes, Kathy. Kathy said you gotta get you some accountability people. Saturday, Reverend Pat has Sisterhood Chat every other Saturday. And so, Reverend Pat, I want you to kind of give them a backstory on how that came about. But we brought Natashah back because she was on Friday, and so we had Sisterhood Chat on Saturday, and wanted her to come back today so that we can really get into it. I just wanted y'all to have a sneak peek on Friday, but now that the cat is out the bag, I need us to dig down up in this thing. And like Cynthia said, oh, it was good,
It
and
was good.
it was good. And
I
I'm gonna
got
say
that good
this:
workout listening to
Natasha broke
listening
it
Saturday.
down, and she gave us some information about trauma bonding that I don't think a lot of people even understand. Sometimes that's what you're in, is a trauma
Mm-hmm.
bonded situation. And you got to be able to break out of that. And so, Reverend Pat, we'll start with you to give them a backstory of the Sisterhood Chat, and then Natasha will go to you so that you can really dive deeper into that.
Oh, okay. Well, the Sisterhood Chat is an extension of the Light Beyond the Bible Facebook group, and it's a God ordained sacred space for women to gather on the second and fourth Saturdays to discuss those things that the corporate church does not, the corporate environment of church does not. Those things that we wish we could talk about with our pastors, with the deacons, whoever, that we don't really get to address. So we sit and we say amen, and we say, I'm blessed, and we're struggling. We're struggling with our faith, we're struggling with issues and challenges, but this is a way that we get to discuss it. And especially this year, wide open. We're going to be discussing a lot of stuff: marriage, perimenopause, postmenopause, and all of these things that we don't get to talk about. We talk about it with our friends, but we don't really share it in other spaces. And we should, because we're women. We experience the same things on different levels, but the same thing. So why aren't we talking about these things? Because if we discuss it, what you say may very well be my breakthrough. Saturday was amazing. My goodness, I was still on a high when we got off. But the fact that Natashah broke down clinically what trauma bonding is and what it looks like, and she broke the mold because she just let us understand it's any relationship. It's not just a romantic relationship.
It's
Never
not.
had it from that perspective before. So she did I knew what it was going to be like with her. I already knew. And so during that time while we were on air, if you want to say on air, the Holy Spirit said, Natashah, ask her to be the co-host. So from going forward, every Sisterhood Chat have a co-host. It's Sisterhood Chat with Real Pat and Natashah Khan. That is
Come on.
Love that. Love that. Great, 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 great addition, I think, because Natasha is just such a
Yes.
powerful person. And I love that her business is Empowered Voices, but because her voice empowers you
It
to
does.
make a change, to make a difference in your own life. Yes, Farika said, hit that bell. Natasha, please go ahead, because I know we'll be on here singing the praises for a minute. So,
Listen, like we said earlier, Dr. Swarkle said earlier, I'm receiving all of the goodness, all of the kindness, everything you guys have to say. I really appreciate that. This is such an in-depth topic, and I feel like we could do an entire segment for a whole month on it.
Don't say it, because we will.
I mean,
you got an open invitation.
and listen, you guys will have me. I'll be
There'll
here.
be a follow-up. Natashah, you better tell them January 24th, Sisterhood Chat, Trauma Bond Part 2. So
Yes,
we're going to talk about it as often as we need to.
because we're really good at learning something, and then we keep saying it over and over, and we saying, okay, yeah, I have a trauma bond, but then we don't do anything about that, and we stay stuck in that, and over time we begin to normalize it and think, oh well, this is just what it is, right? And we're out here in the world functioning, and I say that with air quotes because we think we're functioning, but we're actually surviving. We are not thriving. We are not truly living for God. We are not truly practicing the word. We are not living according to his will. We are just going through the motions, and that's not healthy. And there's a lot of people out here that are functioning. And that, please, I always have to put this disclaimer. When you hear me share, I am not here to judge anybody. Everything I share with you comes from personal experience. I've been there. I've been there where I'm this high achieving woman, and
if they feel judged, then that's not that. I mean, they appreciate it, but sometimes some judgment does need to take place.
It's for people to look in the mirror and realize, like, the way that you've been operating, just because you're still alive and you could go to work and you can pay your bills, doesn't mean that the way that you're living is okay, right?
Exactly. You're just a highly functioning individual.
Whatever.
An addict.
Yep.
And you know what?
Every addict is not just in on the streets as an addict.
Correct.
They go to work.
Yes.
And they're
We have-
one step away from suicide,
Mhm.
because y'all remember it was a beautiful young lady that was, I think, Miss America or Miss USA that
Yeah.
committed suicide, and people were like, oh my God, but you're Miss America, whatever, and her mom said she was a highly functioning depressant. She was going
It
through
is.
life,
Correct.
doing things, functioning, and like Cynthia said, we're good at hiding trauma.
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am.
Go ahead,
Yes,
Roxanne.
ma'am.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me, because I want to share. I got a text from Kathy, and she said Saturday was so good. I needed it. I had other people in the car with me, so I couldn't respond. But I was in tears at what I was hearing. And my response to her was, sometimes God just needs you to listen so he can bring clarity to a situation. We don't always have to. We're not always led to share what we've been through until God knows that you're in a safe place where it will be received.
Yes.
So although I have been released or given permission by God to share the things that I've gone, it's because I've gone through a process of where those things don't affect me anymore. Sometimes when you're still in a vulnerable place where that incident, that heartbreak, that breakup, that divorce, that abuse, that whatever, still has a hold of you in a way that you cannot even talk about it without reliving it.
Yep.
God just wants you to hear it. First step is hearing and understanding that I did not know, but that's me. Maybe that's sometimes God just wants you to see, that's me. Let me pay more attention and let me get more clarity, because the sisterhood chat is not just about chatting, it's about breakthrough. Breakthrough. So we all are operating, as many of us as it takes to be a village for one another, that we are operating as whole and complete women of God, able to, empowered to go out and fulfill our divine destiny and purpose. What it's for. So sometimes, no, I don't share my testimony everywhere I go. I have to read the room.
Exactly. Because I need to make sure it's safe. I'm not going to put myself out there in an unsafe environment. Like at some point, that's maturity in Christ. You have matured enough to say, no, this is not a safe place. So I'm not going to release that because it's going to cause more harm than greatness. And what you're trying to do, like Natashah said, breakthrough. Or one of y'all said, we're trying to get breakthroughs. We're not trying to get still in the huddled up, because it's some trauma that really will put you in a coma.
Yeah.
Sleepwalking. You better say that.
And you know what? Sometimes you got to sit with things and absorb the totality, because some things we feel like you said, Natashah, because you're able to go to work, you're able to, show up at church, you're able to go to events and you're smiling and taking selfies and pictures and all of those things. And people don't have any idea that you are one cussing out,
I have no idea.
Snatching up, one call from somebody before you break down completely. They don't know how tenuous your hold is on your life and just maintaining. And because of that, in some situations, people, as Marie said, look, everyone would not be ready for what you have to share.
They won't.
And you know what? Because people have looked at you, and this is the reality. People look at you certain ways, and so some people keep up a facade, or you keep up your representative because you feel like maybe they're right. What if I tell what I've been through or what I'm dealing with,
You'll
or how
put
I'm
some
being
respect
treated?
on my name.
What will they do? Will they stick by me? 50 Cent had it in his one of his songs. Will you still love me if I go from a hoopty from a Benz to a hoopty?
Yes.
It's trying to see that I'm running so hard. Y'all can't tell how hard I'm running in front of the things that are chasing me, the demons that are behind me. I'm running and they're about to overtake me, and I'm almost out of breath and about to pass out. And if they catch me and I have to reveal who I am, will you still love me?
Will you still?
be there for me?
Will you still sit? But that's why we cannot want to be somebody else. You do not know, like, just because she's the millionaire and she makes all this money and she lives in this grand house, and social media does a great job of making life look like flawless, like they have no issues, no problem. Don't want to copy, do never want to duplicate somebody else, because you have no idea what it takes to be that person. You don't know what it takes to be a Sparkle. You don't know what it takes to be an Angela, a Reverend Pat, a Natashah. You never know who, because you can call demons to your life by trying to be somebody else. You can call, who wants somebody else's demons? Like, I have enough, like, we gotta fight enough over here. I don't want yours too. Like, you can go and have yours. You keep
Into
yours.
situations. You put yourself into situations sometimes where you're not equipped to handle those demons.
And
You
you're
know
not.
how many people go to Hollywood seeking to be famous, and they get around these parties where there's so many drugs there. The baby, you can put, you can be in a drug bath. You can just drop in cocaine and it'll cover you from head to toe. And some people can walk in there and say, this is not for me. Other people feel like if I don't partake of this, they're not going to give me a part. They're not going to put me in the in crowd. They're not. So you step into things that you're not equipped to handle, whether it is drugs, whether it's sex, whether it's alcohol, whether it is trying to be have a seat at a table with conversations that you're not prepared to digest because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So it's a lot of things that we get into, like Natashah said, I think a Sparkle referenced it, that trauma bonding, it's not just in the relationships. And so, Natashah, I guess maybe if you can give us the clinical definition of trauma bonding and then kind of help people understand that it's not just dealing with somebody crazy on the other side that's got you hemmed up.
That's a different one.
Look,
That's a different trauma.
Natasha, she just stepped all over because I want to lead you into this because there was one piece that everyone responded to or did not understand that you put together for us. So I'm going to the clinical definition, and then I want you to hone in on the intermittent reinforcement that you explained to us and what that is in when you're in a that type of relationship with someone where you're bond, because it blew my mind when you broke down that because the clinical, and she went way beyond the clinical definition. The clinical definition is a trauma bond is a deep psychological attachment that forms when a person experiences a cycle of harm followed by intense affection. It is fueled by intermittent reinforcement, making the bond feel more like a chemical addiction than a typical relationship. When you broke that down, that was when you related bonds to addiction. It just went out the water on Saturday. Can you just kind of really hone in
Sure.
on
So
how
something I want to mention, so I don't want to forget it, and this might be another show, another day, is attachment styles. When you experience trauma, you develop different type, you depending on the individual, depending on the trauma, how long you've had the trauma, you can develop an anxious attachment style and an avoidant dismissive attachment style, or a disorganized, fearful, avoidant attachment style. The reason why that's important to mention, because that ties into what you're asking, Rev Pat. My attachment style based on my trauma is going to be a huge contributor to how I attach to people in relationships, how close I get or how distant I am. I could be in a relationship with you and be emotionally avoidant and distant, because when it comes to difficult conversations, or I need to express how I'm feeling, or maybe you're trying to express how you feel and I don't know how to deal with feelings, I'm going to push you away. Right? So that is important, because that's what now ties into the intermittent reinforcement of love, affection, and approval that we're seeking. So what happens in those relationships is it starts off great. you're relating to this individual, you feel connected, you feel bonded, they understand you. And just the understanding alone sometimes is all we need when we're coming out of a traumatic situation. Being able to speak to somebody who understands us. So the fact that you can listen, that you're willing to listen, that you understand, you can relate, maybe you've been there, maybe, and the situation doesn't have to be exact, right? Right there, we've attached.
Yep.
Right? But two people come into the relationship, and one of you could be avoidant, dismissive. The other one could be fearful, avoidant. Now you're in this friendship, you're in this partner, intimate relationship. Difficult situations come up, difficult conversations come up. Now we don't know how to handle it. Emotionally, we avoid, right? Somebody's shutting down, somebody's not talking, the other person is walking away, someone is just completely ignoring you, like they didn't even hear what you just said. I mean, the list goes on when we break down the different attachment styles. We talked about breadcrumbs the other day, and I know we got a comment about being in the kitchen and baking bread or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But what happens with intermittent reinforcement is that we're doing really well, and then we are not connected. We're not emotionally connected. We don't know how to deal with each other. And that ensues conflict. It creates a fight, or maybe it creates some distance. In my first marriage, there was a lot of emotional neglect and emotional abandonment. When I was hurt by something that he did, he just avoided. He retreated. In his retreat, I felt neglected and abandoned. And so as a result of that, I compared it to my last trauma, which was being physically abused in my upbringing. And I think I said to you guys last time that being physically abused and being emotionally ignored, the emotional being ignored was better
Then
in my mind, was a step up from being physically beaten. Right? So he would give me distance. He could live in the house like we were like two roommates, not speak to me, ignore me, move on. In a couple of days, he'll wake up the next morning and come give me a hug. He may or may not even say he's sorry. I don't even think I recall him ever saying he's sorry. But maybe a kiss or a hug, or he'll make me dinner. And guess where Natashah's at?
Right
totally
there.
Ignored the argument. Totally ignored that he dismissed my feelings. Totally ignored that we didn't even talk about it. And I am just back into that needing that approval, needing that love, because I yearned that so much that my focus was just on getting that back and just ignoring all the other stuff that had happened in between. So that's just a further breakdown of that intermittent exchange, that intermittent love that we're and our acceptance that we're getting in those types of relationships. And I cycled with that for 13 years. For 13 years, I lived in a space of, and then starting making excuses. Well, he's in a bad mood. He's not really up to, well, he's not one to really talk about things. And so now I start to justify
making those excuses for him.
Yes, ma'am. Justifying behavior, making excuses for the behavior, rationalizing his behavior. My trauma bond with my mother, I yearned for love from her so bad. I did the same thing. I made excuses for her behavior. But deep down inside, I wanted to connect. I wanted that healthy emotional connection with that individual. I was talking to a relative of mine the other day, and I realized that, so my grandmother, my father's mother, raised me for the first 5 years of my life, and she passed, and she was actually buried on my 5th birthday. And my cousin was talking to me about me being so close to my mom. And what I helped her understand, it was my grandmother nurtured me and loved me so well that when she passed at 5 years old, I was still yearning for that connection. And I didn't know what loss was. I didn't know how to deal with loss. So I was chasing my mother for what my grandmother was giving me. I didn't know that my mother was abused. I didn't know that my mother had her own, I would say, anxious, avoidant attachment style. So as a result, okay, my grandmother's not here. I want this. I'm a child. I want this. And I'm hoping that you're going to give it to me. And I now spend teenage years, my 20s, seeking that from her and tolerating abuse after abuse, from psychological abuse to verbal abuse. Now, that is my mom, and I love her. But I think, we've said it before, just because it's family doesn't make it okay. It doesn't mean that we have to sit at the table It doesn't mean we have to eat the food. We don't
Nope.
have to choke on it.
Nope.
Right. And I have done that for years. That addiction to that love, and I mentioned that in one of the chapters in my book, that was an addiction to love, which over time, when I kept not getting that love, that is what led to my drinking and drugging. Right. And that is why I want people to understand addiction, that trauma breeds addiction. Right. Addiction isn't just about drugs and alcohol. I treat people with eating disorders. I treat people that have depression, anxiety, things that are not related to substances. And it's all rooted in primal needs not being met in early childhood, and what we then allow ourselves to tolerate, as we get older and get into relationships with others. So hopefully I answered that question, because I felt like I went on a
that answered a whole lot
explanation of it. But let me ask you this, Natashah. So when people get into addictive behaviors, is that an escape route to not deal with what you're going through, or what prompts, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
I get into this because I just don't want to deal with it. So I will get into this because it makes me feel better. I don't have to be, do you know what I'm saying?
So sometimes that's on a conscious level. Sometimes that's a subconscious level. So I do this entire exercise on distorted thinking patterns. So this is why it's referred to as a disease, and it's a mental health problem, because it starts with, you have this life experience, and based on the age at which you experience that situation, whatever it is, the child draws a conclusion or a perception of what they've experienced, right? Without facts, without all the information and a clear understanding of what they've experienced, the child's mind is going to perceive it the way that child at that age is going to perceive it. Mm-hmm. When the child experiences trauma before the age of 12, the brain gets stuck in a stage of development of self-centeredness.
Wow. Okay.
That's where you get the, their divorce is because of me. That happened because of me. That's where that personalization and taking things personally come into play. As I start to take the experience personally, now I'd start to formulate a new identity, and I start to believe I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. There's something wrong with me. And all the negative things I start to believe about myself regarding that situation. What I believe to be true it drives emotion in me. The more that I believe that I'm not worthy of love, the more that I believe that I have to earn love, the more that I believe that I need to be perfect, that drives feelings of insecurity, sadness, fear, uncertainty, guilt, shame. And when we are not taught on how to deal with our emotions, the emotions, I know this was a long-winded answer to your question, that is what drives the behavior. People get focused on the way somebody's acting. What they don't realize is underneath that behavior is an emotionally wounded individual who, on 2 counts, either aware of their emotions and are choosing not to deal with it, or they're not aware of how they're feeling and they don't know how to cope with it. So it manifests itself in unhealthy behaviors.
Wow.
That makes so much sense.
It makes sense. And when you talk about, and let's just even step it a little bit. When people talk about your relationship with money, a lot of times it's because of something you've experienced in childhood.
Correct.
And you created that perception. So either you don't think you deserve to have money, or you feel like, as a result of me getting money. Go ahead and break it down.
No. That is a great example, because I'm actually been working on that with God in this season of my life. I come from an impoverished background. My parents worked really hard, but it was always, you had to work to pay the bills for the provisions. There was no money for extra. So I struggle with spending money on extra. And I work, and I always pay toward the bills. My girls will tell you that I had a really hard time buying something for myself personally. I was either buying for the house, buying for the kids, and buying for everybody else, because I was taught that whatever you had in needed to go to provisions and nothing for yourself. I was also raised with the belief of mediocrity. So we talked offline early this morning about me receiving compliments. It has taken me years to receive compliments, because I grew up saying, well, don't let that get to your head. Don't let your head get swollen. just
Mhm.
because somebody said you look pretty, you would hear these comments. And so over time, I'm like, oh, somebody's looking at me, someone's shining a light on me. Let me back down. Let me get out of the light. Right.
Mhm.
That
And
is
that
what's
is
taken me.
it's so
It
crazy.
it
The
is.
things that push us to those type of behaviors. Go ahead, Reverend Pat.
Mhm.
And I can totally relate to Natasha. I think that's why we connect some things from our childhood. Because the way that she explained the intermittent helped me to understand why I am the way I am with my dad. We don't have a very good relationship. But anytime my dad does anything good, it does the thing to me. Because I'm looking at it as maybe this is an open door. We're going to change. It's going to, but later on, 2 days later, it's something wacky, crazy, or he just disappears. The receiving compliment, because I did not get that from him, not my mom, and that's why I said my dysfunction is thrown off. Can your dysfunction have a dysfunction? Yeah, my dysfunction has a dysfunction because I had a balance. I had a mother in the home that taught us how to be women, taught us how who we were. But I had a father who did none of that. Never got a compliment for a good report card. Never got a compliment for anything you did good. So, like Natashah, when someone makes me put that light on me or ask me, who are you? Or you're so, it's very hard for me to accept that. Very hard for me to accept that because something is triggered in my mind. I don't know. And she just explained it. But with everything that we've heard this morning, the Holy Spirit said, all of the things that Natashah just said are associated with emotions.
Mm-hmm.
This is what emotion does to us, which is why the other component to healing is God.
Amen.
Because your healing by having a relationship with the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the more you build that relationship, your healing is so much more possible because you're no longer being led by emotions, the spirit, where you would pop off. Now you're stopping, you're responding, you're praying before you do anything. Our emotions have so much to do with how we feel, how we act, what we do, what we
Well,
say.
what we believe to be true and our emotions. Because if I keep telling myself I'm not good enough, then
You
I
start believing
perpetuate
it.
the cycle, correct? I perpetuate that cycle of I'm not good enough and therefore I feel less than, right? And I love what you said about God because God is the only reason I am here today. God is the only reason. God, so remember we talked last week or the last time I was on the show about our primal needs, love, affection, food, shelter, all the things.
All the things.
God gives me that consistently and never fails.
There you go.
God provides me with my food. God provides me with my shelter. God provides me emotionally, physically, with protection, with safety, with guidance, nurturing.
Yes.
When I am in my brokenness, when I am wounded, I can go to God and He always shows up and He never
Always.
fails me.
Always.
Right? That is when you guys talk about, I got goosebumps, but when you guys talk about glow up, God gave me that glow up. I get to sit here today and glow because of Him. Because I know in life how much I depended upon people, drugs, alcohol to make me feel better. Because I
Yes.
thought that that was the solution to the problem.
Yes.
It took my attempt to suicide 16 years ago and having to die to my flesh for me to realize that God can give it all to me and I don't have to go anywhere and I don't even have to leave my home to be able to
There you
get
go.
it.
Amen.
Right? So I just
Amen.
wanted to throw that in there. It's the belief system, what I'm believing to be true, and then also the feelings that a lot of people don't even recognize how they're feeling. Most people are quick to say, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. And I say, that's not a feeling. Anxiety,
that's
depression,
different.
and anger, they're symptomatic. They're symptoms of other feelings. So what I do is I hand my clients a feelings wheel and I say, I need you to explore what you're really feeling. And underneath that, you're going to find feelings of fear. You're going to find feelings of sadness. You're going to find feelings of rejection, disappointment, and 3 most powerful emotions that most people struggle to identify: powerlessness, helplessness, and hopelessness.
That's so
Exactly.
good, Natashah.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh my gosh, that is so good.
Let me
Just
go
speaking
back
from
to this.
experience.
I'm just telling you, Natashah, that's so deep because I know this single life was so necessary. Like this time, these years of being single with no man attached to me was the time that I have gotten so attached to God and God only. Like, I know he's my provider. I know, like, I understand, but I thank God if I would have ran and got attached to somebody else,
I would have depended on them.
I would have, because that's all I have done. I depended on my grandmother, my family's
That's all we
wealthy,
know.
a man that has money. Like, the list just kept on going, and no room for God.
So I was told recently that, you know, I was told recently that I'm not happy because I don't own a house and I don't have certain tangible things. And I had to explain to the individual that I've already been there, done that. I've had 2 houses, and that's not what makes me happy. God that lives within me makes me happy. And I could be standing naked on a beach. I love the beach, right? And be happy with nothing, because the God that lives inside of me. I don't need the house. I don't need the cars. I don't need to look a certain way. And I'm telling you, again, not from judgment, that is the way that I lived my life. I had to go to school. I got my bachelor's and my master's within 2.5 years.
Wow.
Like, I went through an accelerated program. I graduated cum laude. I had 4.0 GPA, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on, right? But I got all of that and still wanted to die. I had the house, I had the picket fence, I had the husband, I had the 2 kids, I had it all. But I was so miserable. I was lost. I didn't know who I was. In my very first chapter of my book, I do a chapter and I ask people, who are you? Because here's another kicker. Many of us identify ourselves by our roles and by our status. And our identity is not in man. It is not in the tangible things of this world.
Come on,
Our
Natashah.
identity is in God. And until you don't discover,
good.
Sorry, I know I can go on forever, but that's what the book is about. So
this is so needed.
Natashah, tell everybody about the book and how they can get it.
Because I would love for you to do a workshop just on the book. Like, everybody buys the book and then we do a workshop with you through the book.
That would be amazing, because I actually have an exercise behind every chapter, because it's also so it's part memoir and part self-help, so that individuals can begin the work. Because my goal is to invite people to have the courage to face their fears and to face their traumas and to, again, empower their voice. So I shared a lot of my story on how trauma silenced me so that I can have the voice to be where I'm at today. But the title of my book, I have to give credit where credit is, and she does have a mention in the book as well. Reverend Pat Flowers, the very first conversation that she and I had, halfway through, she's talking to me and she goes, your podcast is going to be called Getting to the Root of It. Just like that, just straight out. I was like, okay. I was like, because I didn't have a name yet, and I was just in the working stages of it with Gail. May she rest in peace. So long story short, getting to the root of it has actually been my tagline in everything that I do, because over time I've come to recognize that I'm constantly trying to get to the root of the issue. And we need to. I don't want to prune the leaves. I don't want to just clip a branch. I want to rebuild the tree. Right?
Amen.
So, Rev Pet Flowers, I can't thank you enough for the title. And so that has now transcended itself into the book. So the book is called Getting to the Root of It. You can go on Amazon. It's available via Kindle, soft cover, hardcover. And I do have they asked me to do an audiobook, which is going to be coming in a couple of months.
Yeah.
I mentioned
That you shared, Natasha. For some reason, it wouldn't let me do the link, but it's in the comments, the post that you put on there with the book. So they can go to Amazon. So if y'all click on the link, I just put in here to take you directly to Amazon for you to get the book.
I told Angela that I don't ask for much in life, but I want this to be an Amazon bestseller. So anything that anyone can do to help purchase and support this. When I tell you this is going to change your life, because this was gifted by God. I sat down weekend after weekend for almost 9 months writing this book last year. I gave up my weekends with my kids. I gave up my weekend with doing things because God gave me what needed to be put in that book. And I promise you, it will not fail. I have people reaching out to me who's purchased already, saying that they're stuck on chapter 1 because chapter 1 is asking them to really do some deep reflection on who am I? And one young lady reached out to me, she says, and she's a faith-based woman. She believes in God. And she said, I always thought that I was a mother and I was a wife and I was this, that, and the other. She says, after reading this chapter, my heart is sad. And I said, why? She says, because as much as I go to church, as much as I read the Bible, and as much as I thought I knew the Lord, I'm finding that I don't really know who I am and I don't know who my identity is in him. And that really, so she's still stuck.
That is real. That is so real.
But look at the power of that. And so Sparkle, let's get together. We'll put something together so that we can, because as Marie said, we need a book club. So Natasha's book could be the first one when we have conversations. Because and it's no different really, Brother Pat. I mean, it can be part of the sisterhood chat since the two of you are co-hosts, but being able to unpack chapter by chapter things that people can
chapter by chapter
by chapter.
You know what healing breakthrough from chapter to chapter to chapter, and not rushing it, because the reality is, and y'all, when I tell y'all that the comments have been so deep. Kelly, thank you so much for sharing what you've said about your life and the situations you have done. Everybody go back into the comments, please, to read them, because they have said some good things. But what I do want to say before we get out of here, Natasha, I want to share Esmerie's comment. Jesus, give this woman her flowers. This is amazing. This is so cool. People don't understand the complexity of how trauma shifts our life. Thank you for being here this morning. And amen. Thank you.
Whether somebody's putting in the chat or not.
And I want to thank Esmerie, because when that comment came, Esmerie came back and took care of it for us. She responded to that because we was too big. She stepped in and responded. So thank you, Esmerie.
Thank you. Thank you all for just the kind words and everything that has been shared.
Look at you receiving!
This is a two-fold thing. Listen, she giving and receiving at the same time. Reciprocity, baby. Yes.
I spent so many years not understanding my addiction. I spent so many years trying to understand why is it that I was different from everyone in my family. Why am I the only one that experienced trauma? Why am I the only one using drugs and alcohol? Why am I the only one chasing love? So I spent a lot of years doing research. That's why I went to school. I needed to understand. And one of the things that God has gifted me in my recovery is the ability to take anything that is to be learned about the mind, body, spirit, and to break it down in layman's terms so that anybody can understand it.
And you have a beautiful gift of that. Yes, you do.
That comes strictly from God. That is, I take no credit for that at all, because people say to me all the time, I've never had anybody break that down for me. And I know what I needed to understand me. And I'm hopeful that I can be able to give that back to other people in need. So just thank you everyone this morning. And thank you for having me on the show. It's I greatly appreciate you guys.
Yay.
It's been a great show. Phenomenal. Natasha, we can't thank you enough. I think Esmerie said it the most amazing way you could say it. is give this woman her flowers now, because
Right.
most people, a lot of people that had the addiction don't get the opportunity to live the opposite life
Yes.
after that. Like some people die from it. They get, but you're getting to live the great life past
Yes.
that.
Yes, ma'am.
And in
Indeed.
that, you're helping so many people come out as well. So thank you for your calling. Thank you for your anointed, and that you're using it to help everybody in the world. So thank you so much. But Reverend Pat, are you coming behind us after this? Woo!
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yep.
so daily devotion right behind us. We cannot thank Tasha enough. And again, if you need a sit down with her, book one. If it comes to your mind, don't shut it down. Book her. I promise you, it will change your life. I'm a witness. It will change your life. Book her today. So
And it's so beautiful for you to let people know, because a lot of times when people get into situations where they are talking to someone, they don't want to share it because they feel embarrassed. So they feel like, I don't want anybody to know that I was the one who was talking to, or whatever.
as much as I
Um,
do.
but the reason I say that is because in 2026, we have to be free from a lot of things. And one of the things is when you can't heal from what you don't reveal. And if you're
No.
scared to talk about it, you'll never be able to heal from it. And
Yeah.
so we
Amen.
got to start normalizing being able to express where we are and what's going on with us, because I can't help you if I don't know.
Amen.
People will judge you. They'll
Yes.
say, "Oh, girl, she do so much. Oh my God, she's you always doing this. Or, oh my God, yeah." But you don't know why until somebody shares it. Then it's a clearer understanding. Okay, now that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But you won't always get that from everybody. So let's just say, moving forward, treat yourself with grace as you treat other people with grace, because you don't know. You have no idea what people have been traumatized
Amen.
with at
Have
early
no idea.
ages, in teenage years, even in older adult ages. Things happen do you know how many people feel like, I never thought I would be struggling with this right now. I never thought this would be my life. I never thought I would be in this space at this place and time of my life. So with that being said, you have to give yourself grace as you give other people grace. And if
Yes.
we can just
Amen.
master that, the world will be so much better. Because once you
So much
extend grace,
kinder.
love, so much kinder. Because once you extend grace, then love can flow a lot easier. But when you're always so, and a lot of times people don't want to give you grace because they feel like they've never received it. So they don't know how to give it. But it
Well,
comes
people who judge are too busy judging themselves. And so that's why they judge. The judgment really isn't external first. It's really rooted within yourself. You're so quick to judge yourself. You automatically assume that people are judging you.
Yeah.
And therefore you're now immediately judging them. So, but again, that's a whole other day, a whole other
That's a whole
Yes. It's so many days.
Natasha need to come back once a week at least.
At
To see
least.
what we can do behind the scenes. And
Listen, you're
Exactly.
catching me at a good time. This is my yes season. God says I need to be obedient. So I think now's the
So
time
we're
for
gonna
you to
catch her
ask.
while
And
she in her yes season.
Look,
Before the season change.
thank you.
I believe God. Do you believe God? We believe God. We believe God. We believe God. Y'all have a blessed day, and we will see you on Winning Wednesday. Have a blessed one.
Yes.